Hi guys, so today you and I are going to talk about seniors. So let's get into it. So the question in question was, Frederick, how can a senior get demoted? Well, this is easy. Usually they don't. I've never seen a senior get demoted. It's not like being a police officer or like being in the army or something like that. You just get fired if you're a bad senior or for whatever reason. It's really rare that you get demoted, unless it's like the closest thing to being demoted, I suppose, is that they just move you to a project where where you're not going to make much of a difference, or where like it doesn't really matter that you're there. Some cases they can fire you, so that's what they will do. Any reasonable, unless they can make you an offer. It really comes down to firing will probably always be the primary thing if it's possible for them to fire you. But if that fails, they will try to move you somewhere and either get you to quit that way, or just make sure that they minimize resources allocated towards you. Because the thing is about being a senior, which is something that I don't think that I mean it's rough all around. Life's tough all around, guys. It's not like being a senior is this lounge type of experience where everything is just awesome all the time. I know that the juniors might think about things a little bit differently in this regard. But on the other hand, I mean, it's tough being a junior, it's tough being a senior. As I said, it's tough all around. Because if you are a bad senior, that is not good. It is not good. Being a junior software developer, well, at least you still have the potential so that people might hire you. If you are a bad senior, you are worthless to the industry. Nobody wants to hire you. No one. You're never going to get hired. Because the thing is, guys, the seniors they're viewed as a big cost and high value asset. And what does that mean? Well, it basically means that having a senior is sort of like, I'll give you an analogy. It's sort of like buying yourself a fancy race car or a sports car or something like that. And as you can imagine, it's a luxury item. It is something that you are getting and you can appreciate the value of, because it's supposed to be something that gives you a certain level of value, and it's something you're willing to spend some money on because it's supposed to be this awesome thing. But as you can imagine, if you are a shitty race car, that's worse than being a shitty like average Joe car or Jane car, because nobody wants to buy a shitty race car. There are people who are on a budget or something like that who are going to be open to buying like a shitty old car just to get from point A to point B. But point A to point B? But who the fuck wants to buy a really shitty race car? No. If you have that sort of money, you want to have something that makes you feel like, yeah, this is definitely something worth my investment. Even if that race car is probably better than an average car. I hope this makes sense to you. I mean, it's in that case, it's probably better to find some type of high-end normal car rather than buying a race car, even if that's the thing that you wanted. And that is, like, I think this is a fairly, I hope that this makes sense to you, a fairly good analogy to what it means to be a senior that, doesn't really perform. You simply will not get demoted because they won't be able to, in many cases, lower your salary. So it's much more beneficial for the company to just get rid of you and hire either a new senior or a mid-level developer or someone like that who can probably costs a little bit less and probably produces better than the senior software developer, because that it defeats the purpose of having a senior who doesn't perform. It's why I say that if you really want an efficiently, like a good balance between solving issues and producing value and shipping code and architecture and all that stuff and cost, having all seniors is just not good. Like what you want, you ideally what you want is to have a ratio between mid-levels, juniors, and seniors, so that the senior developers are always in a role where they usually work on high-stake things, or are working in some type of supporting role, supporting the other developers and setting standards and so forth. And the mid-levels are like they're the engine type of level people usually, where they just produce as much as possible. I mean, the seniors should do this as well when they have time over. And then the juniors are like in constant feedback and development mode, because like you're paying all of these people usually at different levels, and having all seniors, all of that is great. At the end of the day, if you don't have a lot of high-end, high maintenance, high risk type of decisions to make, the seniors are usually like having more seniors. Like the process is pretty much the same as having a few seniors and a bunch of mid-levels, because the mid-level developers are still going to be able to produce the code, and as long as there's a code review process and the seniors are involved in that, the end results are still going to get pretty much to the same point as if it was all seniors who was doing the work. Because at the end of the day, you usually don't need a super senior software developer to just produce code. You need them to make sure that the code that is being written is of a good quality and like follows the direction everybody wants to go. So what I want you to take away from this is that seniors usually don't get demoted. It's not something I see all that often. As I said, like the closest thing to a demoted senior I've seen is that they get moved to a different department, but that can happen for like juniors and mid-levels. It doesn't really matter who you are. What usually happens is that you get fired pretty damn quickly if you're a bad senior, and usually that is because the expectations on seniors performing is usually a lot higher than on juniors. Juniors, yeah, I know it's not fun to be a junior, but as I said, guys, it's tough all around. If you're a bad senior, like the expectations on you performing is usually much higher than on the junior. If a junior in a good company is expected to perform within 6 months to a year or something like that, that's not uncommon. For a senior developer to take that long to become like productive or self-reliant, it's a no-go. And if you can't meet the expectations people have on your seniority, you're never going to get hired. Trust me when I say this, I've been in many interviewing processes now with people who have 10, 15 years of experience, and I can promise you they would never get a job. Never. Their knowledge is below average, to the point where it's almost embarrassing to sit and talk to them in a technical interview. And honestly, as I said, the race car analogy is pretty good here. If you are a senior, a super senior, a senior software developer who is not that good, it's pretty much the same as being the shittiest race car on the market. Doesn't really matter how you spin it. Nobody's going to want to buy a shitty race car. Have a great day.